City of Clear Lake Shores City Council regular meeting, October 15, 2019 at 6:30. Everybody's in attendance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, good evening. Item number 3, reports from council. Councilman Mark Thompson.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Councilwoman Christy Lyons.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Angie Terrell.
Barktoberfest. It was a wonderful success. Teresa doesn't have the numbers yet from what they made because they're still waiting for people to pick up their silent auction items. So if you know of anybody, push them to pick up their silent auction items so we can have a bottom line. But she said it was a great success. Everyone had a good time as always. And you know, there's puppies. What could be better? That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman Angie Terrell. Councilwoman Jan Bailey.
I second Councilwoman Terrell. I did attend the Barktoberfest, and I saw Brent out there. Thank you for having the fire department out there. It was great. And I saw Lake City. I guess they had their drug dog out there. It was a fantastic event, and it was well attended.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jan Bailey. Councilwoman Amanda Fenwick.
The Kima Fire Department website is now live, the new one. I forwarded you the invoice today, Chief. Just FYI, we haven't had a chance to connect. Blue Atlas Marketing did that website for the fire department pro bono, so we'll have a little thank you for them. And then council members, I forwarded you the ESB agenda for Monday, so you have that as an FYI.
Thank you, Councilwoman Amanda Fenwick. And I have a couple things. This last week I attended the annual TML conference in San Antonio with Brent Spear, and pretty good turnout there with everything, good speaker, and several of the events that went on. Also just wanted to bring up the HAM Bill 2840, which is about public speaking on agenda items. This is a big change that came through this year. So the public may speak on any item posted on a public meeting agenda. We have reasonable rules in place, which are on the bottom of the agenda already, that Christy made changes to it. One thing is you state your name and your address, and then you have 3 minutes for discussion. You want to make sure we maintain decorum and civility while facilitating input and allowing criticism. So we can actually, public can address individual council members on how they stand on certain items. So get your grid out. So that's all new. Then next is just an announcement coming soon. We'll have a Clear Lake Shores Yacht Club that's starting up. So I think there's some words out there right now. They're electing the officers, and more information will come out in the next few months. And that's all I have. Next is staff reports. Police Department Chief Cook.
Much better news this month on the electronic ticket writer update. I spent this morning on the phone with Superion. Superion said that they have created a solution to fix those checkboxes on our citation form, and they will be sending that information out to our IT provider. Once our IT provider receives that information, he'll let me know, and we'll get an officer on the MCTs and get those updated. Hopefully this week we'll be able to print a citation. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Cook. Building official Kevin Harrell.
Mayor and Council, since our last meeting, I've issued 17 permits. All those permits are minor permits, no new construction. I do have a couple of them coming up, waiting in the wings. I'm going to leave 311 Narcissus to our city administrator to report on. True North Marine, I did a final inspection along with the fire marshal, and they are up and running. 822 Clear Lake Road, Soul Freak, you've noticed plenty going on there. They should be open in the next week or two. And 815 Clear Lake Road, you've seen some activity there as well. That will be a office and school to train vets in different trades.
Cool.
So they should be up and running hopefully in January.
What's the name of that, Kevin?
They haven't told me the name yet.
Okay.
But it is being run by a gentleman here on the island, Richard Allen.
Oh,
Juju's
it's
husband.
Juju's husband.
Yes,
Oh,
Juju's husband. Yes.
oh, that's
Correct.
Yeah.
Code enforcement, I have 3 cases currently right now. 2 are in citation, 1 has been resolved. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Fire Chief Brent Hahn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just really quick, I'm gonna touch on, Oktoberfest again. Awesome. The weather could not have been better. We kind of, ran the prices up on a few of those silent auction things, and I think we wound up spending a little bit more than we should have, but we're so thankful we were out there and had a lot of fun. Also, thank you for inviting us to a great national night out. I mean, that was just fun. And not everybody that was with us got to experience, a couple have not experienced the sunsetting for like yours. But some definitely postcard and internet worthy. This Friday, Stewart Elementary will be out there most of the day for their fire prevention program on Friday. We invite parents and visitors to come see exactly what we do for the kids. Y'all are more than welcome to come out. Also, this Saturday is their Fall Fest, so we'll be out there for their Fall Festival. Always have a lot of fun doing that, either face paint or the pie throwing contest or something, but just a great opportunity for us to be in the community. And then that following Saturday is a Chick-fil-A event that we always, Chick-fil-A is always very good for us. We've been invited out for the Chick-fil-A. We actually got 2 new volunteer applications in this week, so that's a great thing for us. Been working on adoption of a couple of plans. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Chief Hahn,
Yes, ma'am.
have you seen on your new website yet? I'm so excited that you guys have rolled it out, and thank you, Amanda, for all your hard work on that. Is there a way for folks to learn about the fire department and submit applications via your website now?
Yes, ma'am. We haven't had a chance to exactly, but the last website we had, we were using GoDaddy, which the updates were from back in the early 2000s. So we're part of the help and assistance that I asked for is somebody to come in who is technology savvy a lot more than I am to get that information to us. So that is the one thing. Also, the public event request. So it's not just, hey, chief, on a piece of paper slid under your door. It is specifically what the event is for, what the hours are requested, if they want a fire truck for a birthday party or something like that. So it works out a lot better, and spend a lot of time with these folks and showing them other websites that we actually have the ideas of, even to request something like a foster care inspection that doesn't necessarily go through the cities because it's not scheduled with the cities. It's usually scheduled through the orphanage or the church, so they'll be able to get a hold of us to schedule like a fire inspection or something like that, home safety visits and things like that, smoke detector battery replacement, smoke detector installment replacement, CO detector installment replacement, and battery check. So that's the big rollout that we're wanting to see from that website. It's just talking with as we talked before. And I'm sorry, I'm a little long-winded, but
no, you're excited. That's good.
The signs that by the station they blend into our station. The kiosks that we're using, so we're trying different things to where it's not just when it turns red, because everybody goes to the stoplight and they do this. They don't look at our signs, so we're going to be doing the Facebook blast. And you look, we went to Lake City, had a humongous house fire yesterday, and that house reignited, and there was a shortage of volunteers in the area, and we actually were able to provide between volunteering and part-time, a full engine crew this morning. They got back about 10:30, and unfortunately it was a house that was full of memorabilia, coins, and just a lot of intensive labor work, and they were drained, coming back. But there was a shortage there. We've been to Lake City twice, in the last couple of days. So getting that all out there and getting the communities together and you guys sharing your Facebook and, hey, go check the website out and sign up for updates. There's a lot of things that I'm kind of scared to touch because it wasn't rolled out, and then Amanda had to assure me, well, you're not going to mess that up, but I don't want to do that. But yeah, please put it out there. And like I said,
Absolutely.
we're here. Mr. Mayor, if I may comment also, Amy's not here on Galveston EMS, so the transition is going really well. The funny thing is we have, since EMS has been here, we've outrun fire calls about 4 to 1 from EMS. They're averaging about 2 calls a day. I think our response times are under 4 minutes now in this area, and that's an approximate. But we know where our ambulances are coming from. They're not coming from Webster. They're not coming from Forest Bend, the other side of 45, the other side of Highway 3. They're coming from our station. And we have had some runs here in Clear Lake Shores. We are still rolling with them until we get all the transition worked out. It's still new territory. We don't know which address in Clear Lake Shores is an elevated house, so we're going to continue until we reach that happy medium. It's so much easier for us to say, okay, well, y'all didn't need us, we're going to go back to the station, versus, hey, come on, we need you guys. So the team effect is working really well. The guys, matter of fact, are screaming at the Astros game right now. They've had a lot of meals together, figured out what everybody plays on Xbox, so it's worked out really well. Really, really, really happy with that.
And you said response times are averaging under 4 minutes?
I believe they're under 5 minutes, yes. They're
Wow.
running around about 4 minutes or so.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you, Chief Hahn. I appreciate all the efforts and your teamwork and continuing to support
I think it's
the
working out
EMS.
great. I think it's working out great. Thank y'all.
Thank you. And that brings up next was the Galveston County Health District EMS, Amy Weber. She's not here, but I did send out the reports from her to all the council. Hopefully you received those. And next is City Administrator Brent Spear.
High flyover tonight, hypoxia. Next council meeting, we'll have a presentation by Ron Cox. That'll be in reference to the strategic plan. He had an unexpected conflict that he was made aware of last week prior to making the agenda. So he will be here. Cobb Finley continues to work on the priority list for paving projects, working with schools and parks for new signage at the school and some rewording, trying to clarify that and make it a little more understandable. With the parking lot, we are working with the contractor and subcontractor right now, trying to get some costs down. Kind of think that they're charging more than they need to, so we're working with them, and they've had a recent personnel change as well, so we're working through that. I did a landscape walk around today at noon at the parking lot. Won't see a quote for that for a month. And any work would start after the first of the year with that vendor. We have a second vendor that I'll get a quote from, present to EDC. Let's see, we made some improvements at City Hall. They're listed. We have an agenda item for that. Let's see, 311 Narcissus. That building has been raised. R-A-Z-E-D. So it's in a heap, or was in a heap. It's been carted off the island in the back of a big dump truck. And at last look, Kevin and I went down there at 10:30 when we saw an empty truck roll through. At last look at 2 o'clock, there were still some chunks of concrete, but the primary structure's gone, all the debris gone. They did a really good job, and they were fast. I think they mobilized last night, and they were probably done by 5 o'clock today. So I'm really impressed with how they did that. I think Kevin is too, and definitely the neighbors were very excited, and most of them, I think, sat out on their decks and watched the show. I did attend the TML conference in San Antonio, as the mayor stated, and I have a separate conference summary of what I did during the day attached to my report that you can read through at your leisure. And as far as the communication specialist job posting, that has closed. I've identified 4 finalists. I wanted to kind of get the cart before the horse, but we're developing with Councilwoman Fenwick's help some specific interview materials. And as soon as that's kind of ironed out, then go ahead and schedule interviews and bring them in and talk to them, and hopefully pare that down. The rest of the things are agenda items, and as a reminder, we can schedule a review and discussion of the Police Department General Orders Policy Manual at a later date. So as you work through those things, just keep me apprised and we can get that scheduled.
Brent, what's the status of the drainage study at City Hall?
The drainage study was completed in 2015, and it was for the whole city. It surprisingly detailed, so that also included City Hall. The way that the drainage was originally set up on the island, for those that don't have the historical perspective, it was designed to drain to the back of each lot, not to the street. And through development, some of those have been changed and they go to the street. But in the original plotting of lots and how they were going to move water out, they went to the back of the shared property line lots. So all of those swales are identified in that drainage study and accepted by City Council, and that's what we calculate our loads of water and all of that forces against it. So Cobb Finley did a very good job on that.
Okay. And has Cobb Finley had the opportunity to inspect the work that WCID did on our chopped up sidewalk that we had the water main break on or whatever?
We were out there earlier, and I'm sure that Brad looked at it, but I didn't talk to him specifically about it. And I've checked it. It was isolated to one section. They did a good job of isolating it and cutting it, so they did pavement saw and only removed what they needed to make the repair.
Okay.
So I think we're okay with that.
Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, thank you, Brent.
You're welcome.
All right, committee reports. Parks and Pools Committee.
Chris is having an issue with her knee. She asked me to step up. We're real excited that Brent and Chris worked to redo the wordage on the signage around the pool. And the interior of the pool building will be repainted and some minor repairs being done there. And Mark, I want you to know that we also brought up dog poop. Since it came up at the Civic Club, and it is an issue. And I thought it was funny that one member said, perhaps peer pressure. Do you see someone, tell them, which many of us have. The exciting thing is that Diana Conister is doing the Christmas decorations again for probably the 20th year. The Parks Committee and some volunteers are going to be working on the decorations. A lot of them are labor intensive, so we're looking for volunteers to help with that, starting now. And then December 2nd, about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, we'll start decorating the bridge and the tree as done in the past. And then on December 5th, we're going to have a Christmas lighting ceremony. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Waterfront Compliance Committee, nobody here. Planning and Zoning Commission, Patrick.
Mayor and council, there is no update on planning and zoning. We haven't had a meeting since the last report. I do want to go over next item, zoning board of adjustments. My understanding that several members, commissions in that 2 years ended in September. I've reapplied for mine. I have not heard anything. While this does not come up often, currently my understanding is that we don't have a full board. If a citizen came forward, you would not have a board to hear their request. So I don't know if there need to be advertisements for members on the board or where we stand. So I just bring that to your attention.
Yeah, Patrick, I believe those are out there, and Christy has that on the schedule for next month to name those positions. So thank you. And roads and drainage.
Thank you. We had a roads and drainage meeting a week ago last Monday, and I've posted the meeting minutes. Finally got them done, and they're over to Christy now. If you want to look at some of the details that we did at the meeting, I've covered most of those on the meeting minutes. But just as an overview, Cobb Finley, our engineer, came up with 5 different estimates for the 5 roads that we had chosen as being the worst roads on the island to try to repair. They gave us estimates for how much it might cost to repair each of those roads. But we have just a limited budget, and we realized that we could only do 3 roads. And those roads are Blue Point, South Narcissus, and the middle portion of Narcissus, which is between Forest and Ivy. Now that comes out to about $53,000 to do that. When you add the engineering to it, about $130,000 for a total of about $784,000 to do those 3 roads. That has limited amount of drainage, but essentially it would be base work and most likely concrete, but they were originally quoted to us in asphalt. We have a little over $1.1 million in the budget, so that leaves us about $300,000 as a cushion. And the estimate for Blue Point was to not address the base. That might cost an additional $100,000, so we're still a good cushion of maybe $200,000 in the budget. We also took on some of the issues that were brought up at the Meet the Mayor's meeting, the Coffee at the Mayor's, and I spoke about that last time, but we went through each of the items individually at the meeting and got good direction from our members as to what the priorities ought to be and how to address them. That's also addressed in the meeting minutes. We expect to have the next similar type of roads and drainage meeting, but not formal, on November the 15th when we meet with XL, the past contractor, to try to go over some of the outstanding issues that we still have, specifically over on Tyndall, the west side, as to how good the surface is and how we want to go about dealing with XL on those. If you have any other questions, see me. I can give you copies of the meeting minutes later on if you'd like.
Do you have those, sorry, Richard, do you have those electronically you can email to us?
I'm sorry?
Do you have those meeting minutes electronically that you could email to us?
Sure.
Thanks.
Christy has them too, if you'd like to give them. That's how I transmitted it to her.
So Richard, you said those 15 items or so that you identified from the meeting with Kurt, they were discussed at the meeting and you guys prioritized those items. So we still have those items that we're addressing, but they've just been prioritized by the committee members, right?
And they've been, we've fleshed them out better as to what specifically we want to do, to try to do,
Okay.
as to what we can do or versus what we need to do further work on.
Okay.
And those are attached as attachments to the meeting minutes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. All right, Civic Club, anybody report?
I can tell you that there's a Halloween party.
Halloween party. Any details?
On Halloween, what we're gonna try to do, and we'll need volunteers to do it, is we want to turn half this clubhouse into like a fun house, not scary, but fun, and have the kids crawl through some things, and then we'll have a couple of games and pizza and drinks, and then we'll send everybody else. They stop here first and kind of trick or treat, go through the fun house, and then go out trick or treating for good on the island. Is the game plan.
All right, thank you. Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick overview from our October 8th meeting. Just in terms of cash availability, we had, as of September 30th, $850,000 plus or minus in cash availability, and about $175,000 in unfunded commitments, primarily associated with the 380 agreement and completing the parking lot paving and then landscaping. So leaving us available uncommitted funds today of about $675,000. Second item is we did approve the purchase and installation of two 12-foot fans for the Jarbo Pavilion at a cost. We had approved up to $15,000, but Brent's been successful in getting that number down closer to 13, and so we'll be bringing that back into the next council meeting for formal approval. It's in our 2020 budget, though. Then you've touched on the parking lot. We also met with the owner of the Strawberry Fields building out here, which is on the market for sale. I think they have a sign posted on it. It's 11,800 square feet. She has another facility that she wants to move to. I think she really needs to kind of sell this one before she completes the move. And we're working with her on possibilities for backfilling that space, and hopefully with a use that would generate sales tax revenues. I did have the International Economic Development Council reached back out to me. That was someone we had visited with last year, and they were going to make resources available to us for planning through a federal grant, and we were moving along with that, and then we lost our contact person there, and they just went radio silent on us. But they've surfaced again, and actually have lunch with their representative in Houston next week, who's attending an HGAC conference, and so we hope to get that going and be able to utilize some of their resources for free, and I think that'll be positive. And then finally, Thomas had done a lot of investigative work. We were trying to figure out if there were any way that we could assist with providing faster internet service to the island, because it's terrible and even worse in some locations. And the conclusion was, after talking to a lot of vendors, that it would just be very expensive, prohibitively expensive for us to do anything. And with 5G coming along, we're probably just in a better wait and see what technology may be able to do for us. But it is something. You're making one more. One more attempt. Okay. It's not dead yet, but so far it's been challenging. So that's just high level. Thank you. Charles, what about? Oh, and then, well, I think this had been Ronnie's initiative, but someone had
present the council with this picture for City Hall. It's got our new logo that Johnny Volkinghouse kind of led the charge on developing a new logo for the EDC.
It's very nice.
And a friend of ours, or some of ours, Gary LaChance, took on the B-17 ride into Wellington and took this picture for us. And they're all the way around between you.
Yeah. That's very cool.
So we put that together, and wanted, as the 2019 EDC board, will present this to City Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So cool. Charles, did you guys decide to go with a professional installation on those fans? Is that what you're going to present to us? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ronnie.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, item number 8, public comments. Come on up, or grab a microphone.
Alan Baxter, I don't need a microphone.
Yeah.
I would like to suggest to the city manager, Brett Spear, to replace the chief's microphone, because I can barely hear him, and on YouTube, you can't hear him. I'm blaming it on the microphone, chief.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item number 9, new business consent agenda, items A and B.
I will make a motion to pass consent agenda A and B.
I'll second.
Chrissy made a motion, Amanda a second. All in favor? Unanimous. And the Astros won. That's on consent agenda. All right, item number 10, council business discussion and possible action may be taken on the following items. Review and approve the purchase of the 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe in the amount of $34,425 for Clear Lake Shores Police Department. And Chief Cook's going to use the microphone really loudly right now.
Try to speak up loud.
You just hold it closer to your mouth.
As previously,
There you go.
Yeah.
is that better?
Yeah.
As previously discussed during the 9/17 council meeting approving the 2019-2020 budget, it's time to replace the 2013 Police Tahoe. Due to this vehicle's age and mileage approaching 120,000, it's becoming more and more expensive to maintain repair each year. In 2019, we spent $5,300 to repair and maintain that vehicle. It's a couple $100 more than our next oldest patrol vehicle we have, but a few $1,000s more than each of the other vehicles have cost us. Caldwell Country Chevrolet is part of the HGAC program, quoting $34,425 for a 2020 Chevy Tahoe PPV police pursuit vehicle. This price is $160 less than what we paid for the last 2018 Tahoe PPV purchased in 2017. Warranty is 3 years, 36,000 mile basic, 5 years, 60,000 mile powertrain. The extended warranty is not available. With your approval, I'll submit a purchase order for this vehicle early tomorrow morning. Due to a high volume of police Tahoes currently being purchased, it could be late January or February 2020 before we receive it. I want you to make note that there are separate equipment costs associated with this: lights, siren, graphics, the stripping out of the 2013 to sell it. Those are separate type of payments totaling $15,160.82. So the total amount estimated to purchase, outfit, stripping out the old vehicle to sell it, that total amount is $49,585.82. We'll recoup some of that money when we sell the 2013 Tahoe, but I can't tell you how much we'll get. Do you have any questions?
Chief, I was reading through all the detailed explanations of how you outfit a police vehicle and un-outfit it, and it seems good to me. Is that all pretty much standard outfitting? Do we do anything special or above and beyond in Clear Lake Shores, or less than here, or is that
No.
standard?
It's standard.
Okay.
Standard lighting, siren, console,
Okay.
prison cage, standard stuff.
Now, the procurement of the vehicle, is that through GHAC procurement systems?
It is.
So it doesn't have to go out for bids?
That's correct.
And then the other thing is selling of the other vehicle, we'll put that through TML for bidding or some process? Okay.
And Chief, you said you're replacing a 2013?
Correct.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe for Clear Lake Shores Police Department.
I'll second.
Jan Bailey made a motion with Angie second. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
All right. Item B, review and approve the purchase and installation of the 2020 Evinrude H225HX outboard motor for Clear Lake Shores Police Boat. Chief Cook.
The motor currently on the police boat is a 2002 that's become increasingly problematic over the past couple of years, consistently keeping it in the repair shop. The boat is fine, just not the motor. Over the past 5 years, we have spent over $12,000 in repair and maintenance to the police boat. $3,000 of that money was spent for 2 bottom coat jobs just to maintain the boat itself. The police boat has been in the repair shop and broken down for most of this 2019 boating season. Now the boat motor needs all its oiling system replaced at a quote of just over $1,500. That repair has not been done. It's time to replace the police boat motor. We would be putting good money into something bad from this point forward. I want to replace our boat motor with a 2020 Evinrude H225HX E-Tech, including all the rigging, cables, filters, gauges, propellers, with an Icon touch screen mounted inside the dash to monitor its water pressure, fuel supply, tilt trim adjustments, and winterize itself with the push of a button. This should make our police boat trustworthy and last us for the next several years. This motor comes with a 5-year, 500-hour warranty. Extended warranty is not available. 3 separate quotes were obtained. The total cost to replace this boat motor is $25,877.24. I am offering to pay $11,000 of that total cost using money donated to the police department. This would leave a balance of $14,877.24 to be paid from the Vehicle Acquisition Fund. Do you have any questions?
Do you need a motion first, Mayor?
Yes. I need a motion.
Make a motion to discuss the review and approval of the purchase and installation of the police boat motor.
I have a motion to discuss. I need a second.
I'll second.
All right.
So I guess my issue is, what's the purpose of the boat? Is it a PR thing? Are we gonna use it to write tickets? Are we gonna use it for boater safety? Because to your point, we've dumped a whole heck of a lot of money into this thing. And not that I'm saying we need to be out there writing tickets, but I just wanna know what $25,000 is gonna be used for other than putting a motor on a boat.
You know, I've found mostly when we're out in the water, whether it be in the police boat or in those watercraft jet skis, the people don't speed. They're not making wakes and stuff. When we're not out there, they do that. So mostly it's a PR thing. You know, get out there and just keep people slowed down. We haven't written really any tickets at all really out there. The last couple of years, 2 years ago, we wrote a few, but not very many. But no, it's not about writing tickets out there really. It's just getting out there when we can and be seen. Getting out there. Sorry, but now I can hear myself. Sorry, Alan. Yeah, it's just about getting out there and being seen.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Would it be, I'm not the boat expert, so forgive me. Could we sell this boat and buy a rescue boat? That way, like, when it floods or whatever, we have a boat to actually help the residents get off the island?
Well, I guess that's an option, or you know, whatever you all want to do. The boat is fine. You know, we can put a motor on it and it lasts for many years. You know, and just patrol the waters and the channel out there. And you know, it's not good for flood. You know, if the streets flood. You know.
The one we have now is not good for flood.
Nah. You know, for something like that, it'd probably be better to use like a inflatable raft. You know, something like that. Put around in it.
I'm not the expert, so I just ask.
We have two of them. One was donated. We have a 12-foot Achilles inflatable, and then we just recently got donated a 14-foot inflatable that's purpose for shallow water rescue and residential street flooding. But the larger one has a 45 horsepower motor that can actually go out into the bay and do some rescue. So we are much better prepared than we were for our last incident. I don't want to mention any names. Incident.
Chief, is our PR presence then the same if our officers are out there on our boat as if they're out there on our watercraft, our jet skis? Are we doing the same job with two different types of equipment?
Same thing like that. And when it's windy out and the water's pretty choppy, the watercraft aren't good to be out there in.
Sure.
It's better to be out there in the boat. If we can get both of the things out there, you know, the boat and the jet skis, which sometimes we can, you know, staffed good enough, do that, and that's ideal.
Okay.
So with the creation of the Marine Division, I believe that came from Ike. Is that true, or is that before that? And do we have any requirements to maintain this division?
We have no requirements to maintain it. We're just, you know, we've had a boat since before I got here. It was an old boat. You know, this boat that we have here was donated to us in 2001 or 3. That's right. It's a 2004. It was by Linola Pleasant. They donated that boat to us, replacing the old boat. But we've had a boat. we're surrounded by water, so.
I have a question. Have y'all ever assisted with any rescue operations, like recent rescue? I mean, I know our
No.
motor's not working, but
No.
would we have the capability to do that, to assist?
Yes, we would have the capability for that, but no, we have not assisted in anything like that. Our,
Okay.
with the KEMA deal
Yeah,
fairly
I mean,
recently.
there's
Not talk about that, but,
yeah.
Our boat is not good to get out there,
Right.
Just, not with the motor, And the jet skis wouldn't have been good out there in that Gulf either.
So, and I'm just gonna say it, so the perception of the residents is that we have a lot of toys and we don't use them. So what I'm trying to get at, and just, I'm throwing it out there, tell me why, and you did partly, why we need that set of toys and the boat. And I understand the PR, is there anything else that you can tell me to tell them that we do need this boat, we do need this Marine division?
Yeah. Back in 2016, we did not have the watercraft. All we had was the boat. And I sat over there where Kevin's sitting and was kind of getting chewed out about, we're the police department, we're on Clear Lake Shores. We've got all these people out here creating wakes, tearing up all the piers, and people are fixing up their piers and everything, and the boats are running through there and knocking the boards up. What can you do, Chief Cook? What can you do about that? Well, we had a boat, we still had one, and they went out and got donated money for the watercraft, and the idea is to get out there whenever we can. We're not staffed to do this all week long. We do it when we can.
Thank you.
Yes, council, you're good?
Yep.
Patrick, microphone, please.
Patrick Machowski, 126 East Shore. Just like to bring attention to the council and the mayor, the recent boat that was anchored off of our shore. I don't know the exact situation, but I understand that it may have been meth users on it, individual responsible for being arrested for burglary. Where I came from, like Murray, South Carolina, people would pull up to the shore during the wintertime, rob houses, haul all the stuff off on boats and be gone. Police could do nothing on the shore. So I bring that to your attention because we do live on the lake. We are surrounded by water, and we can't have people, so to speak, come ashore and take advantage of the situation. And so I just bring that to your attention. I'm not sure, I know nothing about boat motors, and it seems kind of expensive, but to be out in the salt water, I guess you're going to have that. So thank you.
Chief, do we have the ability, I understand what Patrick is saying, and that makes total sense. Do we have the ability to pull an officer off street patrol and put him on the boat or the jet skis if he's trained, or she?
It depends on how many people we have on the street at the time. The idea, we're staffed to have 2 officers on the street at all times. Try to have it all at all times. To pull one off and put them in the boat by themselves out there, probably not be ideal to do that. It's not a good idea. We'd have to get somebody else to come in, pay them comp time or overtime.
So if there were an incident like that, we really couldn't, if there were an incident where we had burglaries and people were doing that via boat, we couldn't really pull an officer from a street patrol to put him on boat patrol.
If we had some special situation like that, we would deal with our schedule and work some things around and get that operation going.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Patrick.
Any further discussion at a motion on the floor to discuss?
I do have one question from
Yes, ma'am.
from the, as far as you're saying contributing the 11,000.
Yes,
the
ma'am.
difference, the 14, will come out of the police budget where?
The vehicle acquisition
I
fund?
mean, not the vehicle, I'm sorry, the. Okay,
The capital improvement fund,
Well, yeah, it's called that.
okay,
which is in a different section.
all right.
Brent, you have something? Brent has something to add.
It would be the capital equipment fund, and it was in, on line item 414590, we had new Tahoe to replace the 14 upfit wrap, new equipment, different body style, and we plugged in a number there of
80,000?
80,000 total. We're going to be closer to our 2017-18, around 45,000, and we also plugged in 20,000. Part of that was $20,000 for the police boat motor. That came in a little higher because of the added oiler system, and there's a couple other things that add to the longevity that are included in that. And the chief can use some of that donated money to bring it in below budget. That was approved.
Okay,
So
that makes
money
sense.
was budgeted for it, a total of 80,000 for those, and then any possible future acquisitions.
How often does a boat get used? I mean, if it were in good condition, because it seems like $12,000 over, you said the last 5 years on repairs?
Right. Now 3,000 of that was for bottom jobs on a boat. That was happened once in 2014. Put a $1,500 bottom job on it, and then having to take it in and out of the water, it rubbed everything off of the bottom of it, and we had to put another bottom job on it. Almost 3 years later, that was another $1,500. So about 3,000 of that 12,000 was for maintaining the boat, not the motor.
Do we need a
So I need
motion?
Do you need a-
well, I need a council needs to make a motion either to go forward or
I'll make a
table it.
motion to approve the purchase of the 2020 Evinrude outboard motor for the police department.
I'll second.
Jan, Billy made a motion, Angie second, all in favor? Who's got hands up? Jan, Angie, and Christie. All opposed? Mark and Amanda. The motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, item D, review and approve proposal from Lilly Electric to install 20 C. I'm writing all over my page. C, review and approve the proposed fee schedule for the Clear Lake Shores Fire Protection inspections and plan review. Mr. Brent Spear.
Been talking about this for the last few months. This is a culmination of Kevin's work, my work, and comparing notes and getting something that would work for us. There are many different form schedules from other municipalities. Basically, we needed something that would help recover the cost to help sponsor the fire marshal. That was defunded. Chief Hahn has agreed to continue as our fire marshal. He's our named fire marshal appointed, and has assured us that there's not going to be any loss of service. However, seems a little unfair to provide service and not be paid for it. So that was originally being handled with, I guess, the water board and the emergency services board through that funding. So this is broken down. I don't know. You have a photocopy, and on the screen behind me, you can see my cursor over here. You have a lot of inspection fees and plan review fees, and it's based on number of sprinkler heads. So, you know, eventually we're going to have residential sprinklers. That's coming down the pike. But right now, you know, you go to Target and they have probably 300 or 400 of them. I don't know. I haven't looked at the plan. But based on the number of heads, that will drive that fee. Also, with detection systems and number of devices, that drives a fee. Then we have inspections that take place on site for certificate of occupancy to make sure that it's safe for people to operate in there. We have a fire code plan review, part of the building permit process that's up here that's based on square footage for these, for the buildings that require the sprinklers and the fire suppression systems, and not for houses yet. We also have a thing that if there's a change, resubmittal of the plans, and they pay a fee here, and if they have to do it again, then there's no charge. We're not going to keep charging them for having to tweak it. But the goal here is to try to get good plan, good inspection, provide a safe structure for people that are going to occupy it. And the fact of the matter is, it's not just residents, it's public, and nobody wants, we don't want to be, we want to take the precautions that are necessary to protect people that come here and spend money and people that live here in these public areas. So that was the purpose of this, and I have a rough draft of an agreement. It's pretty generic. I will send that to legal. Wanted to get these fees in place first, and it has the funding mechanism to get back to Chief Hahn and Fire Marshal Service. Are there any questions?
I'll make a motion to, excuse me, approve the proposed fee schedule for Clear Lake Shores Fire Protection Inspections and Plan Review.
I'll second that.
So my question, Brent Spear, is then, so these fees are then paid directly to the fire marshal, or we collect these fees and then we do some sort of remittance at the end of the month or on a certain term basis?
Yeah, this is actually a process of City of Clear Lake Shores. So they will submit, we have the vehicle in place and the process in place to accept those payments.
Okay.
We will take the payments, and then depending on, and there will be a administrative slice that comes out of that, and the rest returned to the fire marshal.
Got it, thank you.
And these fees are pretty typical, in line with what fees are for fire marshal services?
Yes, ma'am. Various cities do charge for fire marshal services. I haven't seen the final, and my eyes aren't great enough, but it's one of those, we don't want to make any money off this. We want to make sure that the buildings that we have here are safe. And the money's not coming to me, it's going back in the fire department, general fund, just the fund.
And in keeping with that, I want to make sure that that's fair to our fire department. So I just want to make sure that these
yes,
fees
ma'am.
are...
And just making sure that, and we look at the Target example. When you go, you start putting up walls, what you want to look for is to make sure you have 100% sprinkler coverage. And the inspection of True North, which is an amazing structure inside of itself, which has expanded into boat slips and some other businesses in there. But remember what it was before. Now it's a beautiful business that's nice. There are going to be more businesses that come in here. Your Chick-fil-A's, your future other restaurants, hotel, motels, wherever people put their head on a pillow, or a school or any type of medical facility is always the top priority. Big example is what happened with the school district. I spent a lot of time in Stewart Elementary we went over every device in that school that was added. So we went through all of the piping, the proper testing. That takes time away from the other things that go on with the fire marshal's office, and to make sure just that comes back to the fire department, the emergency services board is satisfied with that, so we can continue to do what we do, plus our annual inspections, which keeps our key rate insurance lower. We're trying to go for a better ISO rating for this area, so we can stay competitive and get these businesses in here that we want to continue to keep. And then of course the residential sprinkler thing is a possibility of coming down. The inspections of the adoption, the temporary foster homes. You know, the last thing you want is a death in your community, especially something involving children or something that was very much prevented. But we want to make sure, and then that new emergency reporting program that we have, we can integrate all this in, and we're working towards a paperless system. We've actually now have tablets that we're working through. We can take pictures and put all this into a report through a very wise investment of a new program, which also extends out to the city as well. So schedule inspections, and it's worked real well for the years, and we want to continue working with that and keeping the community safe here. So, yeah, in answer to your question, I'm sorry, I'm a little long-winded, but yes, ma'am. I don't think that the fees are by far anything unreasonable at all.
And they're fair to our fire department for the compensation.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm going to talk with the board about that as
Okay.
well. But there are some funding going back into the fire department, which I think was one of the concerns that the board had. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
So I need a little bit of clarification, Brent Spear, as far as the revenue stream. You stated that the funds would come into Clear Lake Shores and we would pay Brent Hahn for his services. Now Brent Hahn has said that the additional cost will go into the fire department.
Yes, sir.
So we're contracting with him to do our fire marshal
Individually,
service.
that's correct?
So I need clarification for that, because it's two different stories.
That will be adjusted.
Well, what is it gonna be? I don't,
Well, it still hasn't been presented to legal, but it can be adjusted. It can be that the payment goes to the fire department, but the person with the credential as a fire marshal is Brent Hahn, and it's Chief Hahn.
okay.
So that's the person that you need to contract with for that service. But the remuneration can be directed to the fire department wherever he says he needs it to go.
Right, because the way it is right now, I believe with the water district, that's been cut. And so we need to contract directly with you.
Let me get clarification, because what I understood the hours, if there was reimbursement through the fire department for my time, I'll get clarification on that and get back to Brent if I can.
Okay.
And as far as, the direct contract of my activities, I'd rather the money come from the city going to the fire department fund, so that's not an independent contract with me, because there could be a conflict of interest, because if I'm doing an inspection, we drop a fire call or something serious, I'm leaving that inspection to go, life safety trumps that. So I'd rather it be involved in the daily activities, and that the reimbursement for the fire marshal's office come that way, but I will get clarification on that.
Yep, that'd be good.
And we had Mr. Murray, he went through this and was involved in the process of looking at the fees and determining kind of what time was involved and what time was worth. So
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Mr. Allen.
Alan Master, 1024 Forest. I think this question goes to Chief Hahn, but it may end up with council. You may stay with that wherever people lay their heads. Does that apply to all of our perpetual rentals on the island that are owned by some of our local slumlords? Or does this default back to?
Are you referring to like an Airbnb? Or is that?
No, some of our
okay.
perpetual rentals, 5 doors up from my house.
No, sir. There is not anything right now governing that as far as being able to fire inspect nor tax that type of.
Yeah, there's no ordinance on that right now.
There's nothing. The one thing that the state of Texas is especially looking at is for us to be able, as fire marshals and inspectors, to be able to go and inspect for life safety issues, to make sure that if people are written like an Airbnb or something like that, or if it's rental properties for temporary use or something like that, that has to do with zoning and what the city declares it as. But we want to get in there and make sure it's safe and that people get out and they're taking all the necessary prevention measures. But as of right now, no, sir.
Short-term rentals.
I also want to make a point too. You're qualified to investigate arson. I mean, that is a very important part of the role of fire marshal, not only to look for safety, but to see if there's any arson. I mean, you have a law enforcement officer. I mean, it's a big job.
Yes, ma'am, it is. And explosive hazards, environmental crimes. I started here back in 2002. This is my original home. I was one of the original boat police guys But, you know, arson through here, there has been some arson cases here. People, you go, you know your communities. I would hate to, you know, so yes, the Fire Marshal Service includes all of that, the public educational plan review. There's a lot to keeping the community safe. You know, you have incredible business structures for such a small community. I take an example of Lake Shores. You have more commercial, really, than City of Seabrook does. As far as, unless we count hotels, you got your box stores and just the big things that we're protecting. So, yes, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that up, ma'am.
Thank you. Any more further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right, now item D, review and approve proposal from Lilly Electric to install 20 interconnected smoke detectors in City Hall. Brent.
Fell asleep at the wheel and I gotta flip this back. This is a safety issue at City Hall. Spoke to that in my last report, that we have an occupied floor that's segmented in many different offices, and we've got upstairs attic area that has mechanicals in it and electrical, and we have a lower level that would have combustibles and some electrical down there. The current City Hall has battery powered smoke detectors. About half of them work. They're really old, you know, they go bad after so long too. And this is an opportunity to protect our employees and provide some early warning. Does not have a central station. It is only an alert. So it's a smoke detector. They're interconnected. So if you have, say, a fire or smoking condition in the attic, all of the smoke detectors throughout the building will ring to notify you to get out. Otherwise, if it's up in the attic and it's a battery powered and it starts screeching, you may or may not hear that. And by the time it becomes a problem to that occupied floor, it could be too late. So that was the purpose of doing this, just to improve the safety of the building, give us some early warning. There is no, like I said, central station where it's going to call the fire department and say that there's a fire or anything like that. It's just specific for the occupied building.
This also removes several extension cords that was found in the attic.
Yeah, there are a couple of extension cords running to power some things up in the attic, and that is also part of the quote to install receptacles and eliminate those extension cords. So those are a fire hazard, and they're above our heads.
And this is an initiative that we work together to get the facility in compliance of safety codes.
Yes, and we still have some other things that we're working on, and we'll continue to work on those, and this is one of the low-hanging fruit that we think is get the most bang for the buck. We had 3 quotes ranging from $6,462 down to this low quote of $4,1787. Same kind of work. Everyone has a different kind of manufacturer they're going to use, but feel that this is an appropriate amount and good contractor. Request your approval for this safety improvement.
Make a motion to approve the proposal for Lilly Electric to install 20 interconnected smoke detectors in City Hall.
I'll second.
Angie Terrell motion, Amanda Fenwick second. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
How quickly will that work get done? Sorry, I should have asked that.
We'll contact them tomorrow and find out. I'm sure it has to be ordered in and
Gotcha.
worked into their schedule.
Are these gonna be Wi-Fi based too?
I don't think they're not Wi-Fi based, are they?
No, they're hardwired.
Okay.
They're powered from you know, an electrical AC box. They have a run of, I think it's 10 per circuit, which is part of the code. Or you can go to a maximum of 12, but we've got 10 per circuit for 20 of them. We're going to put 2 circuits in, and they'll be connected with AC power most of the time, and they'll have a connector line that connects them all together. And then they also have a battery backup. So if you do lose power, you'll still have that, and it will send the signal to make them all chirp at the same time.
Alright, next, item E, ordinance 2019-09, an ordinance of the City of the Clear Lake Shores, Texas, amending Chapter 38 Flood Damage Prevention, Article 5, provisions for the flood hazard reduction, Section 38-121, General Standards, subsection 4 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clear Lake Shores, Texas, by adopting the modification of Chapter 38. Building official Kevin Harrell.
Mayor and council, reason I'm bringing this to light is, as you all know, that our floodplain changed back in August 15th of this year. I noticed it with the newer homes, but it also with any kind of improvements to existing homes. I'm going to walk around, kind of give you an idea. So, to give you a general idea, let's say that your home, new renovation, our old floodplain, if the elevation of this floor is 8 feet, which is about average for the island, to meet 11 feet and be in compliance of our old flood map, I could mount a switch and an outlet here, which is on the bottom floor, which would be convenient for most anyone here. But because we've now elevated 3 feet, my switch is now up here. So are my outlets on the ground floor. Now, when you enter your homes and you flip the switch to light your staircase, you see where you're going. Now, if we don't change it, I have to go up these 4 steps blind before I turn my switch on, before I can access my home. Also, I'm sure many of us don't want to plug in our golf carts up here, down here. In the residential code and the building code, they do allow you to put electric below the flood level. Switches and outlets. The switches have to be in what's called a weatherproof enclosure, which is a sealed enclosure and has a rubber gasket on it. The outlets themselves have to be protected with what's called a ground fault interrupter. So the moment water hits it, the power is kicked off. So you can see why it's very inconvenient and in some cases unsafe. I hope you all have this handout. It kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. I'm not doing a major change to the ordinance. Basically, it's just stating the electrical outlets, switches are allowed with proper installation according to the International Residential Building Code. Any questions?
No questions?
I'll move to adopt ordinance 2019-19.
I'll second.
I just want to say, Kevin, your explanation on that second page was
Very
helpful,
yeah.
very useful.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Amanda Fenwick made a motion, Christie Lyons second. All in favor? Unanimous. Alright, item F is executive session pursuant of the section 551.72, authorize a governmental body to deliberate in executive session on certain matters concerning real property. A governmental body may conduct a closed meeting to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, and if deliberation is an open meeting, would have a detrimental effect in the position of the government body in negotiations with a third person. And also item G, executive session pursuant to section 551.074 concerning personal matters. It authorizes certain deliberation about officers and employees of the governmental body to be held in executive session to deliberate the appointment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public official or employee. City Administrator Brent Spear, Police Chief Kenny Cook, and City Secretary Christy Straub. We are in recess. We'll just come back and there may be a vote on those 2 items.